Hello, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Zhu, and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history, and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. Broadly speaking, philosophy can be divided into Western and Eastern traditions, each reflecting its unique historical, cultural, and social contexts. By Western philosophy, I refer to the philosophical thought, traditions, and works which originated from ancient Greece and developed in the Western world. Eastern philosophy refers to a diverse range of philosophical traditions which originated from Asia, such as India and particularly China. For thousands of years, Western and Eastern philosophies have taken different paths in their development and have exhibited distinct approaches. Of course, I'm not saying that Eastern and Western philosophies don't have similarities. In fact, they are similar in one major aspect. Both deal with the most fundamental question of what it means to be a human being. After all, the purpose of doing philosophy everywhere is to discover the meaning of life, whether you live in the East or West. Take Confucius and Aristotle, for example. Although the former was born in ancient China and the latter in ancient Greece, both of them believed that virtue was the highest goal a person could achieve. Both insisted that the best rewards should be given to those who put virtue above material possessions. However, there are more differences than similarities between the two. And those differences are due to various factors such as different cultures, different social conditions, and so on and so forth. Western philosophy developed along the lines of Greco-Roman culture and Christianity. Eastern philosophy developed along the lines of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, plus some ideas that originated from Hinduism. By the way, for an introduction of Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, please check out my previous videos. As I said at the beginning, philosophy reflects unique social, cultural, and historical contexts. In the meantime, philosophy also exerts its influence on culture, society, and human behavior. As Western and Eastern philosophies have developed along different paths, their different philosophical perspectives have shaped how Westerners and Easterners understand and interpret the world differently. Different philosophies have influenced people's beliefs, values, and reasoning processes in different ways. Different philosophical perspectives, whether they are focused on reason or emotion, individuals or communities, will result in significantly different worldviews. To put it simply, people in the West see the world differently from their Eastern counterparts as a result of the different philosophical influence. There are plenty of examples to illustrate this point. As a college professor whose teaching career spanned across different continents and cultures, including China, Australia, Europe, Canada, and America, let me share with you some of my first-hand experiences and personal observations, as well as my analysis. When I think about how Westerners see the world, the first thing that comes to my mind is individualism. In the West, self is put at the center of thinking and action. Even the word I is always spelled in capital letter in the English language. From my experience, individualism is particularly strong here in America, which I believe is largely due to its particular history, especially the so-called westward movement, when many individuals ventured to the vast and empty West to start their lives from scratch and by their own efforts because there was no one to rely on. Individualism leads to independence. Westerners in general tend to think of themselves as independent from other people, even from their families. For example, when a child graduates from college, they take it for granted that they should move out and make their own living. People are also encouraged not to obey any authorities without critical thinking. As a professor, I know it for a fact because I have students who put questions to me or challenge me in class far more often than I experienced in China. On the other hand, Eastern philosophy focuses much more on groups and community, a mentality that is known as collectivism. The meaning of individual life is to be found in relation to community. The needs and goals of individuals are less important than those of groups. The consideration of community always comes before the individual. It is we as opposed to I, and us as opposed to me that is the priority. It is collectivism as opposed to individualism that is at the center of Eastern philosophy. Collectivism emphasizes interdependency and interconnectedness, which tends to create an environment that tolerates dependency. For example, in China, a grown-up child often still depends on parents for emotional support and practical help, especially for looking after the grandchildren. The strong sense of community makes it hard for anyone to challenge authorities. Since I'm a photographer, besides being a college professor, let me use landscape photography as an analogy to illustrate another point of difference. When Westerners look at a landscape, they focus on the central objects more than their surroundings. By contrast, when Easterners look at the landscape, they pay more attention to how surroundings contribute to making the central objects outstanding. To take a picture, Westerners are more likely to use a telephoto lens to zoom in the focal point, whereas Easterners are more likely to use a wide-angle lens in order to see how the surrounding areas make the whole picture beautiful. With different perspectives, Easterners may see more, and Westerners may see less, but in more detail. My purpose of using this analogy is to show that the main principle of Eastern philosophy is harmony and unity of society. That is, how each individual in society can contribute to making the whole society harmonious and unified. In the East, people are taught how to live a life in harmony with others and with nature, regardless of their own personal sacrifice. In contrast, the main concern in the West is individual happiness and freedom. A society is only good when individual happiness and freedom is put in focus and respected. Besides, philosophers in the West teach people how to pursue happiness and obtain freedom in his or her own way, without anyone's interference. For Easterners, satisfaction with what you already have is the key to happiness. But Westerners are encouraged to pursue more. The more the better. In the East, philosophers don't talk about individual rights. But for Westerners, rights are essential to human life. Thomas Jefferson, who was the author of the Independence Declaration and who was a great philosopher, pointed out that human beings were born with the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are natural rights which nobody should take away from anyone else. In order to achieve happiness and protect their rights, Westerners are more direct and assertive in dealing with one another. But Easterners are more indirect, and they try their best to avoid conflicts. Still another difference is related to authority and social status. Easterners emphasize hierarchy and status, whereas Westerners tend to emphasize individual uniqueness and equality. Easterners tend to be more obedient and seldom challenge authority. In a classroom, for example, students usually don't question a professor because for them, a professor always knows more than they do. So, students are not supposed to challenge their professor. Besides, they were taught from childhood to respect authority, and professors represent authority, of course. However, in the West, people usually don't have such obedience. As I mentioned earlier, students in the West often argue with their professors, and no one has a problem with that, because both professors and students believe they are equal. Furthermore, in the East, a person is often judged by his or her social status, whereas in the West, the judgment is often based on his or her achievement. Finally, Eastern philosophy thrives on virtues. Society would be harmonious and unified when everyone possesses good virtues. Western philosophy, on the other hand, focuses on following rules. When everyone obeys rules, and they are equal in front of rules, social stability and justice is guaranteed. In the East, it is not rule by law that is important in the minds of people. The more laws there are, the more crimes there will be. What matters is to teach people how to foster good virtues. In the West, however, only laws can control the selfish nature of human beings. Only the rule by law can maintain social stability. The more laws there are, the more stable society will be. To conclude this video, Western and Eastern philosophies originated from different social, cultural, and historical backgrounds and developed along different paths. Both have had their tremendous impact felt in the West and East, respectively. As a result, Westerners see the world from very different perspectives than Easterners. Well, that is all for today's video. As always, thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.